We are in Europe at the close of the 18th century. The nobility rules by oppression, supported by strong religious forces. But the winds of change are blowing. Across the continent, intellectuals and freethinkers demand reforms and freedom for the people. A woman named Caroline says that she needs to talk to Johann about why they did the things they did. Then she begins writing a letter for her children, who don't know her yet. She's aware that they might hate her, but she knows that they will never see her again. But she wants to tell them the truth before it's too late. 9 years earlier, in the year 1766 to be precise, in England, Caroline was officially wed to King Christian VII before even meeting him. Even though she had never left England, she was now the Queen of Denmark. Caroline is first introduced to Louise von Plessen, her lady-in-waiting, as well as Reventlow, Christian's private tutor. Then she's taken to meet the king. They both look uncomfortable with each other, but they're taken to the palace. Caroline asks where her books are. Louise tells her that they are reviewing them, as many of her books are under Danish censorship. Then at the banquet, Louise shows Caroline who Minister Bernstorff is. He's the most powerful man there. Caroline recognizes Queen Dowager Juliane Marie, the king's stepmother. Louise tells Caroline that neither her nor her son are popular with the people because Christian doesn't see them as part of the family. Caroline gets closer to Christian to ask him to come to her chambers tonight. After eating, Caroline decides to play the piano, but Christian orders her to stop because he says that the noise is giving him a headache. Later, Christian visits her at her chamber as per request. He grabs her hand to touch him, and then he hovers over her to kiss her in the least romantic way possible. Caroline breaks apart and Christian tells her not to steal his light. Then he orders her to take off her clothes. Caroline wishes that she would have had the strength to forgive Christian's behavior. But she was too young to understand how sick and tormented he was. Caroline soon got pregnant with Frederick, her first son. Having fulfilled her only duty as a queen, she saw no reason to maintain the facade. Caroline would pay a high price for that. Louise got fired by Christian's request. Then Christian tells her that he is going on a tour of Europe for at least a year. Now in Altona, a Danish colony in Germany, a woman is looking for Dr. Johann Strunzi to go see Count Rantzau. Johann has no option but to go. Rantzau says that Johann is very particular in the sense that his father is one of Germany's most conservative priests, and yet he insists on publishing praises to the French freethinkers. If Johann hadn't written them anonymously, he'd be in prison. Rantzau tells him not to worry and offers him the position of the king's personal physician. Johann sits down to talk to the men. Rantzau says that he misses life at court. It all ended because Bernstorff removed him. Then Rantzau mentions that the king is in Hamburg, but he's too ill. Johann asks what's wrong with him. Apparently some kind of mental illness, and so now they're looking for a physician to take care of the king on the rest of his journey. Rantzau offers to put Johann's name on the list. What Rantzau wants is that Johann uses his position to get Brandt and him back into the inner circle. Johann goes to the interview. Christian says that he doesn't need a doctor, he just likes to drink, hookers and fighting. Johann manages to make the king feel comfortable, earning him the position. In the palace, they're talking about how Christian got rid of Reventlow. And now Christian is asking Johann to accompany during his time at the council. Somehow his presence makes him feel more calm. Later, Johann invites Rantzau and Brandt to talk to Christian. But Caroline wakes up in the middle of the night to scold Christian for drinking and being around women every night. Christian doesn't take her seriously. The following day, Christian tells Johann that the world is full of princesses, but he got stuck with the grumpy one. Johann suggests that she might be ill, so Christian asks him to go check on her and make her a fun queen. Johann goes to Caroline's chamber, but her focus is on a book by Rousseau from Johann's collection. She reads one of his famous quotes, "Man is born free, and everywhere he is in shackles." Then Johann takes Caroline to ride their horses. This is the first time she doesn't feel clumsy. On their way back to the place, they find a man who got punished to death by his master. Later, Johann is required to check on as many patients as possible because there's a smallpox epidemic. More than 700 people have died, so Johann proposes a method known as the inoculation to treat people. He says that it's safe as he has tested it on himself. The queen and the king agree to try it out on their kid. The inoculation turns out to be a success. However, the court says that it'd be too costly to do that process on hospitals, so it doesn't get approved for anyone else. Johann gives some of his writings to Caroline. And when they have a chance to talk in private, Caroline asks Johann if he thinks mankind will ever be free. Johann says that he's hopeful. Caroline mentions that Johann doesn't realize how much influence he has over Christian. When Johann gets the opportunity, he tells Christian that he's not crazy and could make a difference if he used his power in the council. Christian says that he can't, but Johann insists that it's possible if he acts as if he was in play, just reciting his lines. The following day, Christian puts on the best performance of his life by demanding that people stop suffocating in the reek of their own waste. He explains that the money will come from cutting down on pensions. Then he makes his dog, Gourmand, appointed honorary member of the council. Now at the ball, Johann and Caroline dance, but later things turn into a steamy make-out session. However, Caroline has to run away before she gets discovered. But Johann secretly sneaks into her chambers so that they can make love to each other. Caroline says that for a while, it felt like they could do something. Bring about change. Their group of freethinkers grew, and so did their ideas. But ultimately the council was too strong. This made Christian become more despondent each time. Caroline suggests that Johann should have a spot on the council to support Christian. She says that Bernstorff is not as powerful as he used to be, and the ministers aren't as loyal to him anymore. But they didn't see that Queen Dowager was already planning to get rid of Johann so that Christian would fall. Because that way, perhaps her son would stand a chance in becoming king. So Queen Dowager exposes Johann's writings before the council. Bernstorff calls for a referendum to remove Johann from his position and expel him from Denmark. Everyone except for Christian agrees, and they are going to take him away. But Christian threatens the guards so that they release Johann. Then, Christian tells Bernstorff that he is relieved of his duties and declares the entire council dissolved. On his order, the government of the country's affairs is taken over by a cabinet consisting of him and Johann. Soon, many laws were approved, such as the practice of inoculation, the access to university for all citizens and the abolition of censorship. But now there's a problem. Caroline tells Johann that she's pregnant with his baby and everyone knows that she hasn't been with Christian. So Johann tells Christian that perhaps he should swing by the Queen's chamber. But Christian says that he can't get turned on by her. So Johann tells him to just consider it as another performance. At night, Christian does what he was told. Johann and Caroline are very sad, but she tells him that they have to see each other as little as possible for the sake of the child. Johann is very tense, and he yells at Christian when he proposes a ridiculous celebration. Then Johann tells Christian that if he signs a document then he won't have to sign every little document, it'd be sufficient with Johann's signature. Christian is persuaded to sign the document. Caroline gives birth to a girl named Louise. Johann has the opportunity to hold her. Dowager gathers some people from the council and gives them the idea of making a coup. Brandt tells Johann that Christian's guards have returned, he's gone berserk in the city. Christian read that his daughter is Johann's. But Johann tells him it's not true. But the writings don't stop. Now they say that Caroline would kill her own son to make Louise the sole heiress. So the only option is to reinstate censorship. Suddenly in the streets they chant, "Death to the German." The king's guards allow the people to enter the palace. The dissolved court tells Christian that the only way to stop the people is to give them Johann. Christian says that he can't do it. But Rantzau lies by telling Christian that Johann, Brandt and Caroline are plotting to kill him. The king is forced to sign the paper. And with that, the guards arrest Johann. Caroline wants to leave, but Dowager orders that she keeps Frederick in the palace. They tell Caroline that Johann was tortured until he admitted to the affair. Caroline hands a plea for Christian to pardon Johann and Brandt. Christian issues the pardon, but Johann is taken to the guillotine. Now, Dowager's son is the one ruling. Caroline gets deported to Germany, where she meets with Louise. But because she has become so ill, she writes letters to her children. Denmark has regressed to the Middle Ages. After Caroline passed away, Louise handed Caroline's letter to her children. With Christian's help, Frederick organized a coup and seized power at the age of 16. almost all of Johann's laws were reinstated. But Frederick also abolished serfdom and liberated the peasants.